November 23rd, 1996. 175 people board Ethiopian Airlines Flight 961 in Addis Ababa, heading to Nairobi, Kenya, then Brazzaville, then Lagos, then finally Abidjan. Standard African route, should take about 7 hours total. While you're stressing about your 2-hour domestic flight with one layover, these passengers are about to experience the most insane hijacking in aviation history. Captain Leo Labate, age 42, runs through his standard pre-flight checklist. Everything looks good. Fuel tanks filled for the planned route. Weather clear. Passengers settled. Then 20 minutes after takeoff, 3 Ethiopian men stand up wielding an axe, a fire extinguisher, and what looks like a bomb wrapped in newspaper. Their demand? Fly this plane to Australia. Right now. Here's the problem. They're currently over the Horn of Africa. Australia is literally on the opposite side of the planet. That's like being in New York and demanding an Uber driver take you to Tokyo without stopping for gas. The plane has enough fuel to reach Abidjan on the West African coast. That's it. Not even close to Australia. Not even in the same hemisphere as Australia. Captain Abate tries explaining basic physics to 3 men who clearly skipped geography class. Gentlemen, we don't have enough fuel to reach Australia. It's physically impossible. We'd run out of fuel over the Indian Ocean and crash. The hijackers don't believe him. They think he's lying to trick them. One hijacker screams, "Stop lying! All planes can go anywhere. Just fly to Australia." This is the aviation equivalent of demanding your phone charge itself without electricity, because you really need it to work. The laws of physics don't care about your feelings or your terrible escape plan. But the hijackers are convinced that pilots keep secret, extra fuel tanks hidden somewhere, like airplane cheat codes. Captain Abate has 175 lives depending on his next decision. He can't overpower 3 men with weapons. He can't land safely with them threatening violence. So he does something brilliant. He lies. He tells them he's flying to Australia while actually following the African coastline, hoping to find somewhere safe to land when the fuel runs out. For 4 hours, the hijackers believe they're heading to Australia. They're looking out the windows at the Indian Ocean thinking, any minute now, we'll see kangaroos. Meanwhile, Captain Abate is watching his fuel gauge drop toward empty, calculating how much time he has left before this becomes a controlled crash into the ocean. The hijackers get suspicious when they see islands. Why are there islands? Australia doesn't have islands nearby. Actually, Australia is literally surrounded by thousands of islands, but geography isn't their strong suit. Captain Abate tries explaining they're approaching Australian territory. They're not. They're near the Comoros Islands off the East African coast. Fuel gauge hits empty. All 4 engines start failing one by one. The plane is now a 60-ton glider falling toward the Indian Ocean at 200 miles per hour. Captain Abate has about 90 seconds to find somewhere to crash land or everyone dies. May 29, 1971, Sydney, Australia. Francis Sorohan walks through the airport terminal carrying a small bag and a dream. The dream? Get to Singapore. The problem? He's completely broke. Most people would save up for a ticket, ask family for help, or maybe just stay in Australia. But Francis has a different plan. A plan involving arts and crafts and absolutely zero common sense. Francis Sorohan is about to hijack an international flight using a bar of soap. Not a gun. Not a knife. Not even a real grenade. Soap. Specifically, a bar of Dove soap that he carefully carved into the shape of a hand grenade, wrapped in black electrical tape, with a piece of string attached as the fake pin. This man spent more time crafting his fake weapon than researching literally anything about his plan. He boards Qantas Flight 755 from Sydney to Singapore with 116 other passengers. Ticket price, 85 Australian dollars. He actually paid for the ticket to the place he's about to hijack the plane to reach. That's like buying a pizza, then robbing the delivery guy to get the same pizza. The logic is not logicking. Francis waits until the plane reaches cruising altitude at 30,000 feet. Then he stands up, holds his soap grenade high above his head, and announces in the most dramatic voice possible, "This is a hijacking. I am now in control of this aircraft. Nobody move." Flight attendants freeze. Passengers gasp. Everyone stares at this man holding what looks like a legitimate explosive device. The crew immediately radios the cockpit. The pilots exchange confused looks. One gets on the intercom, trying to sound calm. "Sir, please remain calm. We need to know your demands. Where do you want us to take you?" This is standard hostage negotiation protocol. Find out what the hijacker wants, then figure out how to resolve it safely. Francis takes a deep breath. This is his moment. His chance to be heard. His opportunity to take control of his life. He speaks clearly into the cabin. "I demand you take me to Singapore immediately." There's a pause. A very long pause. The pilot checks his flight plan. Checks it again. Keys the intercom. Responds slowly, carefully, like he's talking to a confused child. "Sir, we are already going to Singapore. That is literally the scheduled destination of this flight. We're going to Singapore right now." Francis doesn't care. The destination isn't the point anymore. This is about respect. This is about power. This is about feeling important for once in his miserable life. For the next 90 minutes, 116 passengers sit in genuine fear of a man holding bathroom supplies he carved in his apartment. Francis paces the aisles waving his soap grenade, making announcements over the intercom about how society failed him, how the system is broken, how nobody listens to the little guy. Flight attendants keep passengers calm, whispering reassurances that everything will be okay. The pilots maintain their exact flight path to Singapore because, again, that's where they were already going. April 20th, 1998, Bologna, Italy. Giovanni Trapani is having the absolute worst year of his life. Wife left him after 15 years of marriage. Lost his job at the factory where he'd worked for a decade, rejected by 47 different job applications. Most people would see a therapist, talk to friends, maybe join a support group. Giovanni decides to hijack a plane, because apparently when Italians have a midlife crisis, they go big or go home. Giovanni buys a ticket on Alitalia Flight 871 from Bologna to Rome. He's wearing his best suit, acting completely normal, blending in with business travelers. Then at cruising altitude, he stands up holding what appears to be a bomb and makes an announcement that confuses everyone. This plane is now going to Libya. I demand political asylum from Muammar Gaddafi. Let's pause here. Of all the world leaders to ask for help, Giovanni chose Gaddafi, the man known for bizarre speeches, questionable fashion choices, and running Libya like a personal drama series. Giovanni apparently thinks dictators offer therapy sessions between human rights violations. This is like asking a shark for swimming lessons. The pilots are completely baffled. Sir, why Libya? Why Gaddafi specifically? Giovanni launches into his entire life story over the intercom. His wife cheated with his best friend. His boss fired him right before Christmas. The Italian government refuses to help him find work. Italy has betrayed him, so clearly Gaddafi will understand his pain and grant him protection and probably a job and maybe a hug. Pilots try negotiating. Giovanni, how about we land in Rome as planned? Then we'll help arrange transport to Libya. They're absolutely lying, but Giovanni is desperate enough to believe anything. He agrees but keeps his bomb visible as a reminder that he's serious. When Flight 871 lands in Rome, Italian special forces surround the aircraft. Snipers on rooftops, negotiators with megaphones, the full tactical response. Giovanni looks out the window and realizes his wooden block wrapped in duct tape probably won't protect him from actual trained soldiers with actual guns. The negotiators try everything. Safe passage, mental health counseling, a phone call to the Libyan embassy. Giovanni refuses all of it. Then he makes a demand that catches everyone completely off guard. I want pizza. 4 large pizzas with extra cheese. Right now. Not money, not a getaway car, not even a flight to Libya anymore, just pizza. One negotiator later told reporters, in 20 years of hostage situations, nobody ever demanded pizza. Weapons, vehicles, money, yes. Pizza? That was a first. But they bring him the pizza anyway because what else are they gonna do? 4 large pizzas delivered fresh to the tarmac by a very confused local pizzeria owner. Giovanni proceeds to eat 2 entire pizzas while holding 36 passengers hostage. Passengers watch this man stress eat through what is clearly a mental breakdown. Some are terrified, some are confused. Some are just hungry and jealous watching him demolish pepperoni slices. September 15th, 2000. Aeroflot Flight 114 from Moscow to Mineralny Vody, Russia. Sergei Petrov boards the plane already drunk, not tipsy, not buzzed, absolutely obliterated. He's consumed an entire bottle of vodka in the terminal before boarding because that's apparently standard Russian pre-flight procedure. 30 minutes into the flight, Sergei realizes the plane ran out of alcohol. The flight attendants served the last mini bottles to other passengers. This is a problem. A serious problem. Sergei stands up, stumbles toward the cockpit, and announces through slurred speech, "Turn this plane around! We need more vodka! This is emergency!" The flight attendants try calming him down. "Sir, we'll be landing in 90 minutes. You can buy vodka at the airport, but 90 minutes is too long. Sergei needs vodka now." He pulls out a cigarette lighter, holds it up like a weapon, and declares, "I am hijacking this plane. We're going back to Moscow for vodka." The crew is stunned. This man is attempting aircraft piracy over mini bottles of alcohol. The pilots radio ground control. "We have a situation. Passenger threatening to use a lighter as a weapon. Demands we return to Moscow for alcohol." Ground control asks them to repeat because surely they misheard. They didn't. Sergei starts walking up and down the aisle showing passengers his lighter, explaining very seriously that Moscow has better vodka selection than Mineralny Vody. Some passengers are genuinely scared. Others are trying not to laugh. One businessman offers Sergei his own mini bottle from earlier. Sergei refuses. Not good enough. Moscow vodka only. The captain makes an announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a minor situation. Please remain calm. Minor situation. That's one way to describe a drunk man hijacking a plane over beverage service. The captain decides to call Sergei's bluff. He announces they're diverting back to Moscow immediately. Sergei celebrates by trying to high-five nearby passengers. Most decline. The plane doesn't actually turn around. They maintain course to Mineralnye Vody. Sergei is too drunk to notice they're still heading in the original direction. 40 minutes later, he passes out completely in his seat, lighter still clutched in his hand. When the plane lands, police board and arrest unconscious Sergei. He wakes up in custody with no memory of hijacking a plane. Officers show him the footage. Sergei watches himself demand a return to Moscow for vodka and says, "That guy is an idiot. That guy is you, Sergei. You are that guy." March 8th, 2003. Virgin Blue Flight 823 from Brisbane to Melbourne, Australia. 41-year-old David Robinson boards the plane looking nervous, sweating profusely, clutching a backpack like his life depends on it. Flight attendants notice, but assume he's just a nervous flyer. Happens all the time. Halfway through the 2-hour flight, David stands up and announces, "This is a hijacking. I have demands." Passengers freeze. Flight attendants hit the emergency button. Pilots radio ground control immediately. David reaches into his backpack and pulls out a wooden stick painted black. It's supposed to look like a gun. It looks like a wooden stick painted black. The head flight attendant approaches carefully. "Sir, what are your demands? Where do you want us to take you?" David opens his mouth to respond, then closes it, opens it again. Nothing comes out. He's clearly trying to remember something important, something he definitely knew 5 minutes ago before standing up. David stares at the ceiling, stares at his fake gun, stares at the confused passengers. Finally admits, "I forgot. I definitely had demands. They were really important, but I completely forgot what they were." This is the aviation equivalent of walking into a room and forgetting why you went there, except with federal crimes involved. The flight attendant tries helping him remember. Were you trying to go somewhere specific? Did you want money? Were you making a political statement? David shakes his head at each suggestion. "No, none of those. It was something else, something really good. I wrote it down somewhere." He starts digging through his backpack looking for notes while still holding the fake gun. Pulls out a sandwich, some magazines, a phone charger. No notes about his hijacking demands. Passengers are watching this absolute disaster unfold in real time. One passenger later described it as watching someone forget their PIN at an ATM, but with more federal charges. After 10 minutes of awkward silence while David tries remembering his own demands, he finally gives up. "You know what? I'm really sorry about this. I clearly wasn't prepared. Can we just forget this happened?" The flight attendant responds, "Sir, you can't unhijack a plane. That's not how this works." David sits back down, defeated and embarrassed. The pilots land in Melbourne, where police arrest him immediately. During interrogation, David finally remembers his demand. He wanted the plane to circle around so he could propose to his girlfriend, who was supposed to be watching from the ground. He forgot she wasn't even in Melbourne that day. So there you have it. 5 hijackings so chaotic they make your worst travel experience look like a luxury vacation. We've got people demanding trips to places they're already going, men trading political asylum for pizza, drunk Russians starting international incidents over mini bottles, and a guy who literally forgot why he was committing federal crimes mid-hijacking. These aren't just wild stories. They're proof that desperation, stupidity, and poor planning can create absolute chaos at 30,000 feet. Next time your flight gets delayed, just remember, at least nobody's hijacking it with soap or demanding pizza. If these stories made you question humanity's decision-making skills, hit that subscribe button for more proof that reality is stranger than fiction. Share this with someone who complains about airplane food. Because honestly, after hearing about these disasters, your biggest in-flight problem is probably the Wi-Fi not working. Stay safe up there, and maybe think twice before carving soap into weapons.